Part 16. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 151. The situation was different from what the cultivators of Changxianmen had expected. What they have to consider now is not to use Qi Changjai to contain the monsters, so that they can take advantage of the opportunity to capture the blood-glazed fruit. Now they must contain all the monsters, lest they let them ruin the glazed fruit. The immature blood-glazed fruit does not have as much effect on them as imagined, so the monster must not be allowed to destroy the possible opportunity for the fruit to finally ripen. This kind of heaven and earth treasure is also spiritual, and will not give up the opportunity to mature unless it is absolutely necessary. This seems to be their mission. So at this moment, they are very united, and no one wants to be detrimental to Qi Changjai, because he alone can contain two monsters that have established a foundation. It takes 2 or even 3 or 4 monks to hold a monster away from the blood glass tree. Of course, there are also monsters who are very vengeful, such as the crystal snake, who hates the iron lizard. If it wasn't for the iron lizard, it would have succeeded in winning a blood-glazed fruit by sneak attack, so it took the opportunity to spit at the iron lizard. Venom. Although the iron lizard's skin is extremely strong, it can't stand the corrosion of the crystal snake's venom, and pits appear one after another, revealing the vague flesh and blood below. Guyao couldn't help laughing when he saw it. This crystal snake is simply a pig teammate. He specializes in pitting teammates. He has wounds corroded by venom. Bombing wildly, the iron lizards can't rest their eyes even if they die, and when they arrive in the underworld, it is estimated that they will have to find the crystal snake to settle accounts. The iron lizard was dead, and the crystal snake stopped in mid-air for a while. Perhaps before it recovered, its enemy died, but at this time, the monk's attack fell on it, and then it realized there were many enemies, so he hurriedly dodged, and in a panic, he slammed into Guyao's direction. The speed of the crystal snake was extremely fast, and I saw a flash of light, and it was about to hit Guyao's body. Meow, the black cat snarled sharply. The cat snake is a natural enemy, even if the scorpion is not a real cat, but it is in this form now. Seeing this crystal snake is like seeing a natural enemy, and it still want to run to its owner? Want to its rations. Without waiting for Guyao to dodge, the cat cub jumped from his shoulders into the air, raised one front paw, snack, and swept the crystal snake that was rushing by with one paw, and slammed into the side of the crystal snake. In the stone wall, a hole was smashed out. The kitty stopped in the air and smugly smashed the crystal snake into the mist, meowing twice, and then took a spacewalk again, shaking the whiskers on the cat's face, and raising his chin towards Guyao. Liu Yang, seeing how powerful it is, this human cultivator should offer it up well, and for the sake of its filial piety, it reluctantly protects him. Those who noticed the scene were also taken aback for a moment. When the crystal snake rushed towards Guyao, they saw that Qi Changjai did not move, and thought that he was unable to react in time, but now they understand that this is because they knew that Guyao had his own way. I thought I was just an ordinary black cat who could fly out the crystal snake fan of the Foundation establishment with one paw. Is this still a black cat? When did the black cat beast become so powerful? How can the crystal snake die so easily? It looks petite and not weak. He shook his head to wake himself up a bit, and then looked up into the air, only to see who was blocking its way before. Something. He suddenly spit out a snake letter and hissed and threatened, and then rushed out again with a flick of his tail. I've never seen a dragon and a tiger fight Guyao before, but now I've seen a cat-snake fight, one meowing, the other hissing, you come and go. The fight is so fierce, and each other can't wait to press each other to death. After a while, a few wisps of cat hair fell from the sky, and the crystal snake's beautiful snake also had black spots, which made the crystal snake hiss even more in pain. What kind of monster is this? It's not a cat beast at all. The venom of the crystal snake is very powerful, but it doesn't have much effect on the black cat beast. The venom sprayed on the cat beast seems to be gradually absorbed by it. A few cat hairs. The more he fights, the more angry he gets, even if he is bullied by the iron lump on his head, but a black cat beast actually comes to bully him. Besides his anger, there are also unspeakable grievances. It hurts so much. It didn't scratch it, but a strange aura penetrated into its body, and this aura was still devouring its spiritual power. The crystal snake and the black cat beast collided again. You twitched your tail and I scratched your claws for a while, and then separated again. Although the fight was extremely fierce, Guyao felt like a child playing at home. The crystal snake suddenly looked at Guyao, and in the clear snake eyes, Guyao could see endless grievances, making Guyao dumb. The cat is not happy, and dodges in front of Guyao. What are you looking at? This human monk is covered by it. If you don't want to die, get away. The crystal snake glared at Kitty angrily, then flicked its tail. Turn around and run away. One person and one cat are all dumbfounded. There is such a snake that is greedy for life and fear of death. If he couldn't beat it, he ran away, and even gave up the blood-glazed fruit that he desperately tried to grab at the beginning. It ran towards the outside of the canyon and disappeared in a blink of an eye. The cat can only go back to Guyao angrily, don't let it encounter this stupid snake in the secret realm again, otherwise it will have to be torn up and the enemy will run away, which is a shame. Many people were shocked by the strength of the black cat beast. It looked inconspicuous. No one regarded it as a threat before, but now they dare not underestimate it. With this cat beast, Guyao's strength is not much inferior to them. Ninghui, who saw from the beginning to the end, was the most unhappy. Originally, the crystal snake rushed towards Guyao. He thought that when he saw Guyao, he would show a frightened appearance. In the end, he was poisoned by the crystal snake. Then he could be killed by the demon in the long night. The beast restrained him and took off the storage bag on Guyao's body. With other people in the same sect, Qi Changjai can still attack him? Then take the opportunity to recruit Qi Changjai to his side, he is the biggest family. But all this was ruined by a black cat? Ninghui wanted to tear this black cat apart. The black cat was protesting with Guyao about adding welfare, oh no, worship, and suddenly he noticed a sullen look coming towards him. He turned his head and saw that it was the guy who provoked his master. He immediately gave it to him. Stared back hard. See again? Scratch you. Guyao glanced at it lightly, then retracted his gaze, and continued to cast his gaze on Qi Changjai and those monsters. One of the monsters had been chopped off by Qi Changjai, and the other end was also covered in bruises, and blood kept dripping into the ground below him. At that time, the fragrance emanating from the air was much stronger than before. Guyao's pupils shrank, and he hurried to look at the corpses of the monsters beside him. He saw that fame had arrived. The spiritual power of those corpses was constantly dissipating. At the same time, the fruit of the glazed tree turned red again. Guyao took a deep breath in his heart, which means that the blood-glazed glass tree is using the bodies of these monsters as its final nourishment. No, not only the monsters, but also another human monk who died under the claws of the monsters. The same is true. Also, for such a spiritual tree, what is the difference between humans and monsters? Guyao didn't call out this discovery, but secretly transmitted it to Qi Changjai, who was stunned for a moment, and then the sword in his hand became sharper, and soon another monster was killed by his sword. After killing the two monsters, he didn't stop. He waved his hand and threw out several thunder-type attacking talismans. The attacked monsters roared in anger, but the attack of the talisman hadn't dissipated, and a terrifying sword energy landed on it again. On the head, he pierced his head, and then fell down unwillingly. This caused Lu Huajing, who was fighting with a monster, to control the magic weapon in the air and almost lost control. Only then did he know that when he met Qi Changjai before, he had the strength to kill a few of his own. Cut to the sword. He is not as late as the long night. At this moment, Lu Huajing finally faced up to the gap between him and Qi Changjai, and lost the thought that he must compete with one before. When he killed the monster and wiped the blood on his face, he couldn't help thinking, a character like Qi Changjai will definitely shine when he enters Changxianmen, but why didn't City Lord Meng send this character to Changxianmen before? As far as he knew, among the 3 monks sent last time, not to mention Qi Changjai, even compared with Guyao, they looked bleak, especially one of them was a waste, and it didn't take long to hear that he was self-righteous and provoked others. The outer disciple was severely beaten, and then he became honest, and he didn't hear any more after that, of course, because he didn't pay attention. After killing 3 monsters in a row, the remaining monsters will run away when they see Qi Changjai. How dare they come together and die? Qi Changjai held the purple thunder sword in one hand, and there was no blood stain on the sword. With the other hand, he took out a pill bottle and poured a pill into his mouth to replenish his spiritual power. Spiritual energy quickly filled up again. The scent is getting stronger and stronger, and even the fog leech above is about to move. If Su Chen hadn't controlled the giant fog leech, it should have run out and scrambled at this time. Outside the canyon, there were also beast roars. It was obvious that he smelled the fragrance and knew that there were treasures from heaven and earth that were about to appear, so he rushed here. How could the cultivators present ignore such a change, and they finally discovered the problem. The spirit tree can extract the spiritual power of the corpse of the monster, and now the blood-glazed fruit can mature. As soon as the voice fell, the corpse that fell on the ground suddenly became shriveled, and all the flesh, and spiritual power of the whole body was exhausted. At the same time, the blood-glazed fruit finally matured, becoming more and more dazzling, and the tree body slowly withered. The glazed fruits on the branches showed signs of falling off, and once they got in contact with the soil, they would collapse. Quickly grab the glazed fruit. Qi Changjai, who was waiting for this moment, opened his hand and plucked the 2 blood-glass fruits next to each other. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 152. At the moment when the blood-glazed fruit ripened, the camp that originally stood in the same position quickly collapsed and disintegrated. When the cultivators of Changxianmen saw that Qi Changjai was about to take away 2 blood-glazed fruit alone, that's okay, forget his amazing combat power, several people attacked him together. Be careful, Guyao hurriedly shouted, covering his mouth again, for fear that his voice would startle the night. Qi Changjai looked at all directions and listened to all directions. How could he not pay attention to other people's movements at this juncture? Just when several attacks were about to land on him, at that moment his speed increased again, and the people behind clearly heard a sound. Qi Changjai disappeared in its original position after recording the thunder explosion, and at the same time, the 2 blood-glazed fruits on the branch also disappeared. No, it wasn't that the man disappeared, but that he was moving so fast that no one could see the trajectory of his movement, mistaking it for an instant spatial transposition. Qi Changjai had already rolled the 2 blood-glazed fruits into his sleeves, turned around and glanced coldly at the cultivator who attacked him, and then used a special movement technique to move again. The speed of the lightning cultivator was no less than that of a cultivator who was good at this field. Wind system. Qi Changjai, hand in the blood-glazed fruit, otherwise don't blame me for being rude to the ancient alchemist. The cultivator who was far away from the spirit tree saw that his chances of grabbing the blood-glazed fruit were extremely rare. The Guyao, who moved his eyes, took it to heart, and threatened Qi Changjai with Guyao to see if he would hand over the blood-glass fruit. Meow, the black cat was furious. He dared to move the person it was covering, and when he jumped up, he stretched out his paws and scratched at the person. Unexpectedly, he also had an accomplice. The accomplice was overjoyed when he saw that the black cat beast was missing. He threw a rope and rolled it towards Guyao, and seeing the movements of the 2 monks, it was too late to enter the circle to the monk of the blood-glazed fruit. also attacked Guyao, and some jumped out to intercept Chi Changjai, trying to prevent him from rescuing Guyao. Some people are interested in the blood-glazed fruit, and some people hate Chi Changjai for killing a lot of their Changxian section. Among them, there are people who are close to them. Now let's use Guyao, the alchemist. Isn't he a genius alchemist? Without him, it would be a huge loss for Tianlin continent. Chi Changjai was furious, and the purple thunder sword shot again, with a fierce sword intent bursting out of his body, and his murderous aura filled the sky. Without even pulling out the sword, a sword energy with endless killing intent pierced through the eyebrows of the cultivator in front of him, and the man fell down with a bang. Except for a red dot that overflowed between his eyebrows, there was nothing else on his body. Scars. Don't be too arrogant, Chi Changjai. If you dare to move forward, Guyao is a dead word. It seems that you don't care about Gu alchemists so much either, haha, in front of the future, you only care about yourself. Noisy. Chi Changjai gave a cold scolding, and the purple thunder sword came out of its sheath. When the sky seemed to gather dark clouds, lightning flashed, and with a click, the head and body of the two monks were separated, and Chi Changjai did not see their fate. Past. Guyao was equally annoyed, even if he had guessed that there might be such a change before, but now seeing these people use him to threaten Chi Changjai, he is still angry. Even if it is a Buddha, is he so easy to bully? He grabbed a handful of magic talismans and smashed them out. He had magic talismans, so he was not afraid of wasting them. His consciousness is extremely powerful and can withstand consumption, especially after passing through the Valley Stone Monument. His spiritual consciousness has improved a level, so the momentum of the move is astonishing. Want to tie him up with ropes? Also, to see if there is such a fate, Guyao gathered a bunch of spiritual consciousness and rolled it towards the rope, swiped the rope magic tool from beginning to end, and swept it mercilessly when he encountered obstacles. Seeing that the rope was about to bind Guyao's body, the cultivator who brought out the magic weapon laughed smugly, but just halfway through his laugh, he suddenly felt a pain in his head, his body shook and spat out a mouthful of blood, and then looked again. The rope, castrated unabated, just fell into Guyao's hand like a little sheep, and coiled it up in his hand. The monk was shocked and angry. How dare you take my magic weapon? Damn it! After the divine consciousness penetrated, the magic weapon was equivalent to being refined by Guyao. Damn! Guyao sneered. The two magic swords attacked the enemy at the same time, and at the same time the rope magic weapon was thrown out, and the wind rose, swept towards the monk like a black python, and was targeted by his own magic weapon. It depends on whether he can still arrogant. The cultivator was horrified. This magic weapon in Guyao's hands was actually more powerful than the power he used. He ignored the humiliation Guyao brought him, and hurriedly resisted and evaded, but Guyao didn't give him a chance to dodge. The black python hot pursued. At the same time, the other two magic swords, one turned into several sharp vine branches and stabbed at the enemy, and the other turned into a fire phoenix and roared out. Looking at Guyao alone, he treated himself as a few people, but he didn't see God. The knowledge was so exhausted that he couldn't bear it, and the cultivator who wanted to take advantage of the chaos was also stunned. Is this the combat power that a cultivator who has just established a foundation can have? Aren't alchemists always good at fighting? Guyao devoted himself to the use of many things, and the more he fought, the higher his will to fight. The attack power of the magic talisman was exhausted, and he took out another one and smashed it out with the activation of his divine sense. Boom boom boom. The method is crude and simple, but the effect is amazing. As a cultivator in the early stage of foundation establishment, he intercepted several cultivators in the middle or late stage of foundation establishment, and a cultivator who had completed the foundation establishment was intercepted by a cat cub, and for a while he was unable to take him down. I thought it was an easy thing to do, but now it is a bit difficult to ride a tiger. The cultivator who started first screamed badly, but regretted it was too late. A thunder boom sounded, and Chi Changjai had arrived. Only then did he think of his horror. Fighting power, turned around and ran away without even thinking about it. However, several sword chi had already attacked from behind, and the speed was too fast to even react. As soon as the long night arrived, it was a one-sided slaughter. In the blink of an eye, there was only one person left standing on the spot, and the others fell down. One of them was trampled under the paws by the cat cubs and was trying hard. Step on, hide. Although the only person standing upright still hasn't breathed, his taste is no better than those who have breathed. The blood gushed out, but was absorbed by the black addiction in an instant. Gu Yao didn't expect this scene, and Chi Changjai also didn't expect it. His eyes became colder and colder when he looked at the man, because he was going to use such a magic weapon to deal with Gu Yao. In the end, the cultivator's blood was absorbed by the black python before he swallowed, and the black python turned into a rope and returned to Gu Yao's hands. Although the scene was a bit unacceptable, Gu Yao didn't give up this magic weapon, but put it away and called the cat cub, "Let's go." The cat cub jumped on Gu Yao's shoulder, Chi Changjai grabbed Gu Yao's arm, and the two of them walked away in front of everyone and the monster. But no one can take care of them. No matter how complicated their thoughts are, they still have to fight for the remaining 7 blood-glazed fruits. Ning Hui was an alchemist. He didn't join the fight, he could exchange it for medicinal pills. At this moment, seeing Gu Yao and the two figures getting farther and farther away, he was shocked and angry. Thinking of Gu Yao, a monk in the early stage of foundation building, can fight so well. And he knew that Gu Yao's aptitude for being a waste of 4 spiritual roots was why he had an amazing talent for alchemy. He was born with a strong soul and an astonishing sense of consciousness. He is far from being comparable to ordinary foundation building cultivators. While controlling 3 magical instruments at the same time, he can also smash out the magic talisman without money. Ning Hui asked himself that he did not have the strength to do it. In addition to the horror, a strong jealousy was born. This time they left, the two were not besieged by the fog leech. If someone from below looked over, they would find this abnormality, but now who is free to care about their situation? The two returned to the canyon smoothly. The top is also messed up, because the fragrance of the blood-glazed fruit when it matures attracts the nearby monsters, and some of them attack the monks who are staying here as enemies who want to treasures. Fortunately, the monsters attracted from the top. The strength of the beast is not the strongest. The strong one was already guarding under the canyon, so it didn't cause much confusion. Everyone united and helped each other, and they were in a state of equal force with the monster. As soon as Chi Changjai came back, these monsters had no room to play, and Chi Changjai was unwilling to commit murder again. As soon as the murderous aura was released, the monsters dispersed after a while. Gu Yao swept his eyes and found a very interesting scene. To say that among the monks, the safest ones are Tian Firong and Little Fatty. Why? Because a crystal snake was suspended in front of them to protect them, but the crystal snake looked a bit miserable and its strength was greatly reduced, but it was enough to protect the two. Seeing Gu Yao's gaze, the crystal snake immediately dodged and hid behind the little fat man. The crystal snake was contracted by the little fat man? The cat also found the crystal snake. The so-called enemy has a narrow road. The cat meowed, and was about to rush towards the crystal snake, but Gu Yao caught it in time to stop it. Wait. The crystal snake seems to have made a contract with the little fat man. Can't fight and kill anymore, darling. Tian Firong and the little fat man were stunned for a moment. Did the cat have a grudge against the crystal snake? Could it be that the miserable appearance of the crystal snake was caused by the cat? The two of them didn't dare to underestimate the cat. The two came over with the crystal snake, and the little fat man explained, "This little snake flew up from below. The strange thing is that it flew towards us as soon as it came out. I thought it was going to kill us, but I didn't expect it. After I was sipped by it, I found out that it took the initiative to contract. Meow. You bastard, Mao Ziza was furious. Guyao looked at the crystal snake in surprise, and found that the crystal snake's eyes were a little embarrassed. It really made him laugh and cry. His eyes were so clear, he probably knew that the little fat man Tianfirong was with them, and the little fat man's attributes might be more suitable for him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 153. Guyao briefly explained the situation in the canyon, and asked the other monks what their plans were. Because he and Qi Changjai had offended many monks in Changxianmen, they would no longer stay and let those guys gather to make trouble. Before, the killing below was earth-shattering and fierce. The cultivators above were not unaware. They were fortunate that they stayed on the top because of Qi Changjai. Drinking soup was not that delicious, so after hearing Guyao's words, he decided to leave immediately, so as not to be angered by those Changxianmen. So the monks from Tianlin continent gathered here, spread out and flew in different directions with their magical instruments. Qi Changjai and Guyao also took Tianfirong and the others to leave for a while, looking for a hidden place to rest. After opening up a simple cave, Guyao first called out the little fat man's crystal snake. The wounds on its body were not treated by the cat cubs. I didn't know how long it would take to keep it on my own, because it was the burns left by the black flames. Now the crystal snake is not the enemy of the cat cub, but the spirit beast of the little fat man's contract, which can play a great role in this kind of place. After Guyao promised a lot of benefits, although he was reluctant in his heart, he reluctantly waved his claws at the crystal snake for the sake of rations, and grey-black smoke evaporated from the crystal snake. As the smoke dissipated, the symptoms of spots on the crystal snake were relieved a lot. The little fat man immediately fed it a healing medicine, and the wounds on his body were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. At first, the crystal snake restrained the desire to escape, and was cautious when facing the cat, which made Guyao couldn't help laughing. He described the heroic feat of the crystal snake at the bottom of the valley to little Fatty and Tianfirong. It made the two of them surprised and amused, but they didn't expect it to be such a snake. Although the little fat man knew that the crystal snake had a purpose and took the initiative to contract with him, he was still very happy. This was a great gift that he took the initiative to bring to the door. With the crystal snake, although he couldn't sweep the whole secret like Qi Changjai, he was very happy. It was enough for Tianfirong to keep himself safe. The little fat man happily reached out and touched the crystal snake's head. The crystal snake didn't dislike the master's weaker cultivation than it, and was also happy to rub it back. Tianfirong looked jealous. Why didn't a powerful monster throw his arms around him? The little fat man was lucky too. The cat grinned at the crystal snake, extremely upset, and the crystal snake snuck into the little fat man's sleeve. Guyao tugged at the cat cub's ears, but he didn't want to bully the snake anymore, comforting Tianfirong, who was envious and lost. Tian, if you change it to a fire-type monster, you will definitely make a contract with Tian. Brother Tian, don't be discouraged. Without the help of crystal snake, Fatty is no match for you. It doesn't matter to the little fat man, he is in a good mood at the moment, and he doesn't mind these words at all. Tianfirong was comforted a little bit, but he also knew that this kind of opportunity could not be obtained, and the brotherhood between him and the little fat man was not something a little snake could provoke. When the crystal snake just rushed over, the little fat man rushed out to stand in front of him. Although he was pulled away, the crystal snake also moved, which scared him into a sweat at the time, but fortunately the result was good. Knowing that Qi Changjai grabbed 2 blood-glazed fruits alone, Tianfirong and little Fatty were also happy for him and Guyao. In their opinion, with this blood-glazed fruit, with Qi Changjai's talent and strength, perhaps without Tianyuan Piljadan, that is a person who successfully established a foundation without even building a foundation. Qi Changjai handed the blood-glazed fruit to Guyao for safekeeping, and Guyao sent it into the pill pavilion, where there is a place where the aura is blocked and the breath is blocked. He has seen it. There are no seeds in the blood-glazed fruit, that is to say, it is almost impossible to cultivate a blood-glazed tree under the current conditions. About the cultivation of blood-glass trees. This also made Guyao realize that although the technological civilization of the interstellar world has its unique features, it is not omnipotent. When the blood-glazed fruit matured, he saw that the spiritual tree itself was slowly withering. The mission of the spirit tree seems to have come to an end. Maybe there is nothing left there now, and I wonder if the environment there will be able to breed a blood-glass tree in 100,000 years. In the past, it was difficult for him to understand how rare and uncultivated natural treasures were recorded in books, but his personal experience this time made him understand a little bit, which made him feel that even if he didn't get the blood-glazed fruit, I have no regrets after seeing this once. After the rest, the 4 people and the 2 beasts set off again. The crystal snake always came out carefully to look at Guyao, but was immediately stared back by the cat cub, making Guyao feel that he was carrying 2 children, because he hadn't grown up yet. Always slapstick, very childish. They have seen quite a few monster beasts in the secret realm, but few are as agile as the cat cub and this crystal snake. Presumably this crystal snake's bloodline and intelligence are not low, and there will still be a certain growth in the future. Spatial. Next, the performance of the crystal snake surprised several people. It actually took little Fatty and Guyao and swept away several places. Needless to say, they were all visited by it before, which greatly increased the harvest of several people. In the end, even Tian Firong saw it. The eyes to the crystal snake are very fond of. Only the cat is getting more and more irritable, bastard. I know that it shows itself everywhere, and even the beast is abandoned, not only flattering to please its own master, but also to please other monks, to let those big monsters know that there is such a crystal snake that loses the face of the monster, it must be big. Unload 8 pieces. After being irritable, it looks very depressed. Doesn't this make it useless? Sure enough, this snake is very cunning and hateful. Thinking about it, the cat glared at the snake again. In this way, the points originally marked on the map have been bypassed. The role of the crystal snake is even greater than that of the map. Guyao secretly whispered to Qi Changjai, if he knew it was so useful, he would catch a monster as soon as he came in. Contract. Of course, this is also a joke. He dared to say that few monsters have the ability of crystal snakes, and few people can match the speed of crystal snakes. This day, I ran into a few monks who were chased by a group of birds, and I saved them easily. Because they were far away, Tian Firong found that one of them was his eldest brother, and the other companions were also monks from Tianhaimen. The last time they were in Tianshui Fang she has seen. Before it was Qi Changjai's turn to take action, Guyao and the others slammed and killed them. The birds, seeing that they couldn't get any better, flapped their wings and ran away. This place is not far from Kankan Hall, everyone has the same destination, so they set off together. Compared with Tian Firong, his eldest brother and the other Tianhaimen cultivators looked more embarrassed, but they were very grateful to Guyao and Qi Changjai. Dare to enter such a deep place. All the way down, the harvest is still quite large. After going out and digesting these harvests, their strength can rise a big step forward, which is worth more than 10 years of hard work. Tian Firong expected that the eldest brother would not miss this opportunity for promotion, and would definitely enter the secret realm, but the secret realm was so big that it was not easy to find the eldest brother. Fell back to its original position. After the joy of reunion, Tian Firong was a little embarrassed again, because he remembered his own life experience, although his original situation was caused by Tian's mother, but he can live well, thanks to the whole Tian family, which makes him want to hate Tian's mother. Can't hate it? After all, if his aptitude is really detected, then between him and his eldest brother, the family will definitely focus on cultivating him, and the resources that the eldest brother can enjoy will be relatively reduced. The son affected the future of the biological son. During the break, Tianfei Yang came to talk to the second brother. During this meeting, Brother Tian was full of questions. Second brother, is there something wrong with your spiritual power? Tianfirong found out when he shot, the light blue flame power has now turned into fiery red. Is it because of the change in the promotion? Seeing the concern in his eldest brother's eyes, Tianfirong secretly made a decision in his heart. He never had to let his eldest brother know about this matter. They grew up together, and eldest brother took care of him a lot. They were brothers in the first place. Thinking of this, he felt much more relaxed, his brows stretched out, and he replied, "It's not that I was promoted, but I used a special exercise to cover up my original face. Thanks to my brother's writing back, I was able to. I know my physique is special." Tianfirong told Tianfei Yang about his hidden Qingjian body, including the origin of the Tian family. The purpose was to make the elder brother raise his vigilance. Tianfei Yang was stunned. He didn't expect the Tian family to have such a history. As a child of the Tian family, he didn't know it. In particular, it seems that there is some connection with the extinction organization that was exposed some time ago. Fortunately, I reminded me in time. If I were targeted by those people, the consequences could not be imagined. Fortunately, second brother, you are fine. So it turns out that you haven't made much progress in your cultivation. Is it because of your constitution? Is there any corresponding cultivation method? Tianfei Yang guessed. Yes, Tianfirong said with a blushing expression, you don't know how fast my cultivation progresses now. It used to be more difficult than an old cow trailer. How can I still practice it, brother? We brothers will work together in the future, not to mention the restoration of our ancestors. The glory, at least let our Tian family not be easily bullied by others. Tianfei Yang was also happy for him when he saw the second brother's appearance, and slapped his shoulder with his fist. You are right, a big tree is easy to attract the wind, as long as there is a place for our Tian family on the Tianlin continent. Tianfirong also beat his eldest brother, and the two brothers smiled at each other. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 154. The closer we got to Kankan Hall, the more monks we met on the way, because everyone went in one direction. The cultivators they met talked to each other about what they had seen and heard along the way. Some of the dangerous places Guyao and Qi Changjai did not pass by. It was thrilling to hear what they said. Must have. The Mist Leech Canyon has also been mentioned by many monks. The canyon is named because of the existence of the Mist Leech. I heard that many monks and monsters died there. The Mist Leech is especially terrifying. In the body, the attack occurred halfway after leaving the canyon, and was bitten from the inside to the outside by the fog leech, which was extremely miserable. Some people thought that the bottom of the canyon could breed natural treasures such as the bleeding glazed tree, and there should be other good things, so someone went down to the canyon to search, but unfortunately found that there was a giant fog leech there. I couldn't come up. Fortunately, the giant fog leech did not leave the canyon. Otherwise, who could make it in this secret realm? Guyao was secretly shocked when he heard it. After a certain distance from the canyon, Senior Su Chen removed the control of the giant fog leech, but left a restriction that prevented it from leaving the canyon. Now it seems to have a certain deterrent effect. That thing is really unpleasant, and Guyao can't imagine keeping such a giant bug by his side. While listening to the gossip, I came to the periphery of Kankan Temple. There were many people gathered here. When they arrived, many eyes focused on them, like a searchlight, as if they wanted to bring Guyao and Qi Changjai together. The secrets were swept out one by one, and Tianfei Yang, who was with him, was sweating for them. Others were nervous and worried, but the two of them took it calmly. After scanning around, they saw Zhang Yan and the others standing there smiling and beckoning to them. The two of them went over to join them without hesitation. The two sides looked at each other. Except for Qi Changjai, their respective cultivation bases have grown in the past few days in the secret realm, and their auras have also become much stronger, but Gu Yao looked at them and saw that the number of people who came in together with Tianfu College has been reduced. Quite a few. Everyone is here. Zhang Yan shook his head. Some didn't come here, some. This is the mental preparation that was made when they came in, and if these people can survive in the hands of the Changxianmen cultivator, the situation is already very good. Chiu's Hung and I are leaving. It's another way, and I didn't hear you and Brother Kai's splendid names until halfway. Seeing that Zhang Yan and Lu Chiu's Hung are doing well, Gu Yao is also very happy. The relationship with the others is not deep, and it is impossible to take into account. This trip to the secret realm is like a big wave washing the sand. The people who died here may soar into the sky, and how many people will remember the people who died here in the future? How long does it take to open here? Gu Yao pointed to the palace group and asked. Now it is blocked, and before it is opened, everyone can only wait outside. Zhang Yan said, there are several monks in Changxianmen who are banned by the long formation method, and it is estimated that it will take half a month before the ban will be loosened, and the Kankan temple will be opened. There is still half a month. How about it? Single. After Zhang Yan said this, Lu Chiu's Hung and the other students of Tianfu College also looked at Gu Yao expectantly. There was no way. After coming in order to survive, the medicinal pills were consumed too much, and there was not much left to prepare. The Kankan Hall still doesn't know what's going on, plus the harvested spirit grass can be turned into medicinal pills as soon as possible to play a greater role. If it wasn't for Qi Changjai's fierce name and senior brother Zhang Yan, they would have asked for it long ago. Gu Yao scratched his head and said, then take it, it's still 5 orders a day, I have to hurry up myself. Cultivation, but I took advantage of the rest time to refine some medicinal herbs on the way, which can be exchanged for spirit stones, spirit grass, and other spirit materials. Well, spirit grass is the priority. The cultivator, who just thought that the 5 orders a day was too small to place an order by himself, immediately cheered up when he heard this, and those who survived, unless the bad luck was too much, would have some harvests and a feeling of being rich. This elixir is definitely affordable. That's great, junior brother Gu, you've solved our urgent need. Lu Chiu's Hung patted Gu Yao's shoulder hard, but he couldn't stand Qi Changjai's gaze and put it down embarrassingly. This guy, worthy of the fierce name spread in the secret realm, this look can be turned into reality, Ling Kai's palm. Everyone was so enthusiastic that Gu Yao couldn't, and plunged into the tent set up by Zhang Yan and the others. Put the medicinal pills that you don't need into one of the storage bags, and then hand them over to Tian Firong and Fatty to help them deal with them. So immediately, Tian Firong and Little Fatty were surrounded by enthusiastic monks. Don't worry, everyone, don't rush, come one by one. Tian Firong screamed. The little fat man was even more insane. Let go of the crystal snake, let it release its aura, and squeezed to Tian Firong's side, wishing he could reach out and grab it. The cultivator was instantly intimidated. This made Lu Chiu's Hung scream when he saw it. The little fat man was very lucky to be able to contract such a spirit beast. Tian Fei Yang didn't leave, seeing his second brother and his companions handling transactions one by one with ease, with a smile in his eyes. Sure enough, the outside environment is the best way to train people. After leaving Yuanyang town, something happened to the second brother. Earth-shaking changes. Not only the second brother, but also Gu Yao, even he himself has changed a lot. He met the monks of the North Star sect, but neither of the Lu family's siblings came in, although they knew that their sect was reluctant to let Lu Minzu have such a special physique. The disciple died in the secret realm, but he felt that no matter how good Lu Minzu's physique was, the gap between him and his second brother and Guyao, unless there was another adventure, would be insurmountable. At this time, Tian Fei Yang and the other Tian Haimen cultivators who were traveling with them were extremely fortunate. Fortunately, they had met Guyao early. They had already exchanged some medicinal pills from Guyao on the way. Can't grab it? There were many people at Changxianmen who were paying attention to Qi Changjai, and they took their eyes back when they saw him entering the tent. Someone asked, "Are you sure he has 2 blood-glazed fruits on him?" Because the effects of blood-glazed glass fruit and Tianyuandan do not conflict, that is to say, they can be superimposed, so there are many monks who are tempted by blood-glazed glass fruit. The remaining 7 fruits belong to each other, and except for Qi Changjai, no one can own the second one, so how can people not be excited? There's nothing wrong with this, it's not the news from one person or 2 people, but it's really amazing. I heard that at the bottom of the canyon, he killed 3 monsters by himself, but Lu Huajing could only deal with one of them. His idea is not so good. Yeah, many people in our sect died under his sword, and his face changed without seeing some people mentioning him, and he was scared and scared, scoff. Then what to do? Give up the blood-glazed fruit? Maybe he is willing to exchange with us, he can use 2, someone laughed. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 155. The cultivator who proposed the idea of trading the blood-glazed fruit with Qi Changjai did not put his idea into practice. He had everything in hand, so there was no reason to spit it out. For several days in a row, Qi Changjai was a hot topic in their mouths, but he, a cultivator in the wilderness, stepped on the feet of all the arrogant sons of Changxianmen, which made people angry and curious at the same time, wondering what it was. What a character! Some female cultivators couldn't help but have the idea of exploring and yearning. Not to mention the strength of this person, his demeanor is not inferior to that of the amazing disciples in Changxianmen. All the talent is ruined. Some people feel itchy and unhappy. If such a genius swordsman is introduced into the door, it will be a credit. It's a pity that Qi Changjai, like an insulating stone, didn't give them a look from beginning to end, leaving no room for their minds. Lu Qiuzheng saw the scene in his eyes, and when Guyao was resting, he came over to complain and reminded that Changxianmen wanted to use the beauty trick to hook up Qi Changjai. Guyao, you must take good care of people. People can't speak ill of people behind their backs. As soon as Lu Qiusheng's words were finished, Qi Changjai stood behind and looked at Lu Qiusheng's hand on Guyao's shoulder with a blank expression. Guyao couldn't help but his brows jumped, his ears were a little hot, he couldn't figure out the reason, so he gave Lu Qiuzheng a fist. Nonsense, is Big Brother that kind of person? Lu Qiuzheng saw Qi Changjai who was following behind him. He didn't worry that his words would annoy him at all. He even greeted Qi Changjai with a smile, and then swaggered out of the tent. After he left, the atmosphere in the tent was a little weird. Stand up. Guyao felt a little uncomfortable, moved his body, coughed lightly and said, Brother Senior Brother Lu has such a temper, and I know, how could Big Brother think of a sect like Changxianmen? The way of doing things in Changxianmen makes Qi Changjai very disdainful, so how could he compromise himself and devote himself to Changxianmen because he wants to leave Tianlin continent? Well, I think he's just too busy. Qi Changjai grabbed the back of his hand unconsciously when he said this. It seems that all kinds of things in the secret realm are too easy for him. Guyao couldn't help laughing at this moment. If Senior Brother Lu wanted to hear what Brother Ye said, would he still be able to run out with a smile on his face? Seeing Guyao relax, Qi Changjai secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and there was an unspeakable loss. Just when he was about to say something, Tian Firong came in and told Guyao that several alchemists from Qian Valley outside Guyao were here. He got up in a hurry and walked out, not to mention that they were sincere. Even if they were directed at Master Hugu, he would not embarrass the people of Kuiyang. Tianfirong also went out, but when he passed by Chi Changjai, he felt that his eyes were cold and thorny. Tianfirong was confused, who was offending Brother Chi? It's definitely not Guyao, maybe it's the guys from Changxianmen. Forest asterisk. After being rescued, Su Yang found a hidden place for a while for cultivation. He only came out after the wounds on his body were completely healed. Luckily, he ran into a fellow from the Seven-Star sect and came to Kankan Temple carefully all the way. He was always grateful to the monk who rescued him, whether it was himself or the one beside him. He didn't describe the strange beast with green eyes in detail to others. The cultivator's behavior that day clearly didn't want to reveal his identity. After thinking about it, he also understood that once it was exposed, the cultivator of Changxianmen could let him go. Later, I met more and more people, and I knew more about what happened in the secret realm. The one that others mentioned the most was the amazing sword cultivator Chi Changjai. Oops. However, Su Yang knew very well that the person who rescued him at that time would never be Chi Changjai. After coming to the periphery of Kankan Hall, he gradually focused his attention on one person, that is the alchemist Guyao. Especially the battle that took place in Wazi Canyon made him more and more believe that the person who saved him was probably Guyao. In that battle, of course, Chi Changjai and the blood-glazed fruit they were fighting for were the most mentioned. However, an alchemist from Guyao and the black cat beast beside him stopped several foundation-building cultivators who wanted to take him hostage. Has also been mentioned by many people with relish. Those people have only two thoughts. One is that they are exaggerating. The alchemist is usually crispy, so how can he have such a strong fighting power, and the black cat beast beside him is usually considered a pet. The second is that he was surprised by Guyao's combat power. These rumors were uttered by the monks who participated in the battle, especially the powerful and unparalleled control ability displayed by Guyao at that time. After thinking about it, it was not surprising. Compared with him, Ninghui, who is also an alchemist or even a higher cultivation base, has a bleak performance on the contrary. Why? Because after Guyao and Chi Changjai left, Ninghui, who was hiding in the back and not involved in the conflict, was affected by the red-eyed and mad monster, and a tail pulled him away, and he was actually injured. Said to be honest, even the cultivator of Changxianmen, comparing the two alchemists together, couldn't say against his heart that Ninghui's performance was better than Guyao's. The fighting power of Guyao described in this rumor, and the incredible strength displayed by the cat cubs around him, made Su Yang believe that the people who rescued him that day were Guyao and the black cat beast. He listened to it before. As I said before, Guyao changed his face all the time before reuniting with Chi Changjai. Seeing Guyao coming out of the tent from a distance, talking to other monks, a black cat stomping on his shoulders, or sitting on his shoulders, Guyao also has a good temper. Letting it move, Su Yang thought for a while, then turned around and decided to keep this matter in his heart and wait for the day when he can say it in the future to express his gratitude in person. Saying it now is just adding to the troubles of Guyao. It's just killing the monks from Changxianmen. Chi Changjai killed more people. That black cat cub is very strange. Now he can only be sure that it is definitely not a black cat beast, and its origin must be extraordinary. If others know, I don't know what to think. When Su Yang retracted his gaze and turned around, Guyao looked in that direction and scratched his head in confusion. Just now, a tangled gaze seemed to linger on him for a while, and he didn't know who it was. No one was found, and Guyao was left behind. Forest asterisk. Time passed quickly, and half a month was just a blink of an eye. The people waiting outside Kankan Hall clearly felt the fluctuation of spiritual energy and the change in the prohibition. They put away the things in their hands and prepared to enter Kankan at any time. From the outside, you can feel the majestic momentum of Kankan Hall, not to mention that the entire palace complex itself is splendid, and the building materials used are all excellent spiritual materials. Guyao successfully pushed his cultivation to the peak of the initial stage of foundation building, and he was only one step away from stepping into the foundation building. In the middle stage of the foundation, I know my own situation. If I am outside, even if there is a steady supply of medicinal pills, it will take several years at the earliest to touch this layer. The strength of Tianfirong and Little Fatty has also steadily improved, and they are not far from the foundation. The ground shook for a while, and many monks flew into the air, and the nearby monsters and birds were also alerted and retreated. The crystal snake Liuli climbed onto the little fat man's shoulder and shook his head as he looked at the Kankan temple in front of him. A look of longing and fear flashed in the snake's eyes. This feeling was passed on to the little fat man, who touched its smooth and fine scales and communicated for a while. Son, and then transmit the sound to the other three at the same time. Luli said that it wasn't the place where these monsters could enter, but now the contract is not affected. It also said that there are good things in it. Even Chi Changjai was surprised. No wonder those monsters and birds ran out instead of trying to find a way to follow them in. It turns out that for this reason, it seems that Liuli, the crystal snake, is the smartest. Breaking this rule. As for good things, I also know that they can be strictly protected by the ban. There must be no shortage of good things, but it does not mean that there is no danger. Otherwise, how can the crystal snake show its fearful eyes? However, the map from Changxianmen did not indicate the situation of Kankan Temple, so they could only explore it by themselves. At this moment, the air trembled, the brilliance dissipated, and the restrictions on the periphery finally stopped moving. No one needed to say hello. Everyone flew inside in a swarm. There were monks in the sky and the ground, and many of them were unfamiliar people they had never seen before. Face, I don't know how many monks died all the way here, but there are still so many. In addition to the fact that the secret realm is large enough, there are also a lot of monks coming in from various places. When the secret realm is closed, many unheard of monks may emerge. The continent shines brightly. He didn't dare to stop in front of Chi Changjai, so he took Guyao and the others to drive straight in. The students of Tianfu Academy also rushed up, and in a blink of an eye, they entered the area of Kankan Hall, which is the original restriction. The pure aura is blowing towards the face, and the aura here is more beneficial to the monks than the outside. This is a palace complex. If you look around, there are hundreds of buildings. In fact, it is not an exaggeration to say that it is a small town. Brother Chi, why don't we explore separately and contact us in time if something happens? Zhang Yan took the initiative to say that there are many disadvantages to crowding together with such a group of people. Alright, you guys take care. Chi Changjai glanced at everyone and said with his fists folded. Senior Brother Chi and Alchemist Gu, take care. The Tianfu students who followed up said their farewells smartly, then chose a direction that didn't seem too dangerous, and stepped on the magic weapon and quickly swept away. Second brother, eldest brother will not act with you anymore, you should take care of yourself. Tianfi Yang decided to act together with his colleagues from Tianhaimen. They had already gained a lot of benefits from following Guyao and Chi Changjai. Big brother, be careful, Tianfirong urged. Let's go to Chi Changjai rolled up a few people with a sword energy, turned into a sword light and escaped. The speed was astonishingly fast, and disappeared in a blink of an eye, making it impossible for those who wanted to hit him and Guyao's idea. When they landed again, they appeared in a courtyard. The four people, including the two beasts, ran to different rooms to search. Guyao ran into one of the rooms. It looked like a bedroom, with a couch, a white jade pillow, and a couch room. There is a book on the small table, and the book is half open. Guyao felt in a trance that the owner here seemed to have just left. Before leaving, he was leaning on the bed and flipping through the book, thinking that he was only leaving for a short time, but he never expected to return. Guyao couldn't help walking in, reaching out to touch the book, wondering what the original owner was reading before he left. Without any barriers, the book fell into his hands. Guyao was stunned when he saw the text on the book, and said to Su Chen in the space that it was an ancient text. Yes, it is an ancient script. It seems that this Kanken temple and the entire Kanken secret realm belong to the ancient times. Do you recognize this script? Su Chen asked in surprise, because he later saw that Guyao was reading content on the page. Guyao closed the book, put the book in the pill pavilion, and replied, "Senior, you forgot the situation of the stone tablet in the valley before? There are such words in the memory I got. This kid Su Chen is very lucky. Even those who have learned some things may not know all of them, but the ancient ones seem to be able to read fluently." Su Chen asked what was written in the book. Guyao's expression was a little strange. The content on the page just now records the situation of a city lord fighting with another city lord. Su Chen, does this mean that this might be a book that records gossip? There is a sense of disillusionment. Today's people look at the ancient monks and think that they are all high and mighty, and can destroy the stars with a flip of their hands. However, when they think of such a powerful person lying on the bed and watching other people's gossip, they suddenly feel like a master. Fell from the altar. Guyao nodded. Well, it's very possible, isn't it incredible? The predecessors of the ancients are also human, just like the predecessors. Guyao had long experienced disillusionment with the image of Su Chen Sr., so he just accepted it after being awkward. Even if he was a high-ranking almighty, he was full of joys and sorrows, and liked to live a gregarious life. Experts also like to fight with each other, and experts like to record the content of other people's fights and sell them at a cost. Su Chen wanted to knock on Guyao's head. What is the same? Do you know how many monks he used to be sought after? Well, he occasionally gossips. Just as he was about to leave, Guyao swept his eyes to the other side and put a feather fan, reached out to take it, checked his eyes, and said, "Is this a spiritual tool?" Su Chen felt that he could finally find his way back, and said, "It's just a spiritual tool, what's all the fuss about? You already have a pill pavilion, and you're still yelling at a spiritual tool." The corner of Guyao's mouth twitched. He just thought that this fan was really used by the original owner as a fan, not as a weapon. However, such a common life tool turned out to be a spiritual tool. How could he? Don't be surprised. The best thing that can be found on Tianlin continent right now is the top quality magic weapon, and the spiritual weapon is above the magic weapon. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 156. Although the spirit tool is good, with Guyao's current strength, using the best magic tool will make the spirit power drain extremely fast. The spiritual tool is even more unbearable, so it can only be put on hold for the time being, and then it can be used when the strength is reached, otherwise it can only be used as a fan-cooled living utensil. Just when Guyao was about to turn around and go out, Su Chen said again, "Slow down, put away that bed too." Guyao was startled. Didn't he carry such a search? The expression was so obvious that Su Chen wanted to slap him on the forehead. What are you thinking about? I didn't see the material of that bed. It's made of high-quality 1,000-year-old spirit wood, just your Tianlin continent. How many can be found? Moreover, this kind of spiritual wood has the effect of filtering the spiritual energy, and lying on it has the effect of clearing the mind and concentrating. Guyao heheil, this is indeed a good thing. I quickly put it away. Even if it is not used to lie down, it can also be made into something like a magic weapon. I was wrong. It seems that the ancient times practiced the world's resources are really rich. You can tell by looking at this bed. The ancient monks didn't take this material seriously at all. When Guyao exited the room, Qi Changjai and a few others just happened to come out. The cat cub shook his hair and jumped on Guyao's shoulder. He didn't gain anything. The last one came out was the crystal snake Yaoi. Everyone couldn't help laughing when they saw it, because it was holding a white jade cup, and when it flew to the side of the little fat man, it threw the cup into his arms, and tapped his arm with its tail. Needless to say, it was let the little fat man help it close. This courtyard is a living place, basically some daily necessities. After a few people exchanged the situation, they left and went to other buildings to continue their search. Some places are empty after entering, and the items originally placed inside are completely clean. Obviously, when the original secret realm was opened, some monks came in and scoured the items placed here. There are no restrictions in some places, but the interest of a few people is much higher when they encounter a place where restrictions are set. There is a restriction, which means that no one has entered. Not long ago, Guyao and the others encountered such a situation. Chang'e is the main force, and several people work together to break the ban. The movement of breaking the ban could not be too small. The monks who passed by were attracted and wanted to share a piece of the pie. However, when they saw that the leader was Chi Chang'e, they suddenly felt that it was not a place to stay for a long time. What? So he still walked away. With a bang, the restrictions outside finally collapsed under the attack of several people. The cat cub and the crystal snake ran in first, and then Guyao and the others did not move slowly, so as not to be snatched by the outside peepers. Chi Chang'e and Guyao Divine Sense quickly shot a circle, then pointed to one of the rooms and said, "Go there." Tianfirong and Little Fatty didn't spread out anymore, and ran after Chi Chang'e and Guyao. The figures of the four disappeared in the room in a blink of an eye, and the cultivator who was hidden behind showed up, hesitatingly said, "What should I do?" "Don't come in. They went to that room, so let's go elsewhere, as long as we don't disturb them." "Already?" "That's right, this is not the home of Chi Chang'e. If they can get in, we won't be able to get in. Let's go." After talking, they ran to another room, taking advantage of the time when Chi Chang'e had no time to take care of them, but they all guessed that the place where Chi Chang'e and the others went should be the best. As soon as Chi Chang'e and the others entered the room, they found that this place was originally a training place, and there was no shortage of books, jade slips and various spiritual materials. Several people checked separately, because some of them had obviously lost their spiritual energy and had obviously been abandoned. Guyao's first goal is those jade slips. He is very interested in the ancient times recorded in the books, and Tianlin continent seems to have a special connection with the ancient times. He wants to find out, so he put those jade slips. They are all put away, and what is specifically recorded in it, let's read it when we leave. "Oh, all the medicinal pills here are useless pills," Tianfirong called out from there with heartache. "Brother Chi, here's a rune pen, do you think it's useful?" Little Fatty was pleasantly surprised. He found one that could be used from several kinds of spiritual materials, and the other spiritual materials were also useless. Chi Chang'e took it. The texture of the talisman is simple and unadorned, and it looks like it is no different from the mortal objects, but when the spiritual power was sent in and turned around, he nodded, "Yes, it is a good talisman." Then he put it away without compromising. He was the only one of the few people who had researched the talisman, and it was useless for others to take it. Tianfirong and Little Fatty couldn't close their mouths with joy. It was a spiritual tool, so the value of this talisman was too great. Even if only this item was found, it would be a very good harvest. In addition to this spiritual tool, I also found a few good items, such as a teapot with a top-quality magic weapon. There must be something special about making tea. Hurry up and stop it, don't let this little beast run away, hurry up. The sound from outside made Guyao's brows twitch, and he walked out of the room. The little fat man's speed was only a beat slower, and he followed closely behind Guyao, where he could be heard by the cultivators outside. It is estimated that there are only cats and crystal snakes. When I came out, I saw that it was the crystal snake, a treasure-hunting snake, with a gray pot wrapped around its tail. The pot was bigger than the snake's body, which made it seem a bit funny. There were 3 monks behind them, threatening and attacking, and the crystal snake was a little flustered. Dodging, still unwilling to give up, the pot rolled on the tail. At this moment, the black cat jumped out of the other room and directly hit one of them, knocking the person out. Seeing Guyao and the little fat man come out, the crystal snake spit out a snake letter and hissed, and Guyao could hear a sense of resignation. As soon as they saw the two who came out, the other 2 monks who were still standing hesitated for a while, but one of them still did not give up. "We saw it first, but it was snatched by the snake, we will not deal with it. Your spirit beast, as long as it returns this pot to us." Meow meow, the black cat was furious. That little snake was really useless. It was chased and chased. When it meows, the monk who was knocked over by it would trample under its claws. That person couldn't lift a small cat out. Tianfirong came out from behind and sneered, "Hee hee, what a big face, we can also say that we found this place first, and we broke the ban, so it's our turn to pick the things in this place first, eh?" Sigh. After such a hesitation, the crystal snake finally ran back, threw the pot wrapped around its tail to Guyao, and plunged itself into the arms of the little fat man. If it was a child, it would probably have been crying now. The faces of the 2 people immediately looked ugly. The situation in Guyao's hands was absolutely different from that in a small snake. When they saw Chi Changjai standing at the door with arms crossed and looking at him coldly, the 2 of them had no choice but to grit their teeth. "Let's go. Cub, come back," Guyao called. The black cat immediately jumped back, and the cultivator who was knocked to the ground by it ran away. The little fat man checked Li Yulai and found that he was attacked, and there were marks left by his spiritual power, but fortunately no injuries were caused. He was relieved. "It's okay, Li Yulai is fine. What is that pot? Let Li Yulai return it. How many guys are rushing to ask for it?" Guyao is checking. The material of this pot is similar to the talisman pen that Chi Changjai got before. Although it is simple and unpretentious, it should not be underestimated. After looking around, I found a few small characters on the bottom of the pot. I quickly recognized it, and it was an ancient script again. "This is Wanya pot." "What is this?" "Wanya pot." "That's a good thing. It's a magic weapon of fire attribute. You guys should be able to use." The kid named Tian Su Chen's voice sounded in Guyao's mind, and he explained the function of the Wanya pot. Simply said, "So that's the case, then leave it to brother Tian." Guyao turned around and threw it to Tianfirong. Seeing that Tianfirong was dumbfounded, he explained the function of the Wanya pot. Store the flame power in the pot, and you can also collect fire and store it in it. When fighting against the enemy, when the pot is open to activate the Wanya pot, fire crows will fly out of it. When 10,000 fire crows fly out, you can imagine what an amazing and shocking scene it will be. Tianfirong was stunned after hearing this introduction. This Wanya pot is simply too powerful. With one pot in hand, it can be burned all over the world. Tianfirong, who has always been carefree, was also embarrassed at this time. "This, Guyao, you should use it." Guyao said with a smile, "This was originally found by Li Yulai, and besides, this fire attribute magic weapon is much more powerful in your hands than mine. If you want to thank Li Yulai and the little fat man, talk about it before me." The whip snatched from a monk in Changxianmen is also very good. By the way, I still have a fan. The whip Guyao and Chi Changjai checked after the incident, and after Su Chen's identification, it came from a tendon drawn from a monster that was almost transformed into a beast, so the magic weapon made of this tendon also retained the characteristic of the blood scourge is that it can absorb the blood of the prey. If it absorbs enough and the quality is good, the rank of the blood dragon whip may be able to rise by 1 liter, so Guyao quite likes it. Absorbing the blood of enemies and monsters, he can overcome it after a few times, and he will not leave any psychological shadows. The little fat man also laughed. Yes, you have to thank Liuli for it. Without Liuli, the Wanya pot would have been taken by others, but Liuli just said that it was the first to find the Wanya pot. Those guys, I found it was walking with a glazed pot and ran out to grab it. Tianfirong knew that it would not be beautiful if he refused, and he still liked this powerful fire attribute magic weapon in his heart. No, this is a signal from Tianfu Academy, let's go over and take a look. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 157. Chi Changjai didn't hesitate, he used his sword energy to roll up a few people and swept in the direction of the signal. They were all within the range of Kankan Hall, so they arrived at the accident site not long after. Guyao looked down and was shocked. It's senior sister Tao and the others, they are here too. No, senior sister Du is injured. As soon as the words fell, Chi Changjai had already brought them to the ground and rushed into the encirclement of the other monks. Tao Yu saw that Guyao and the others came first, laughed a few times and coughed again. She quickly supported he couldn't stop, and when he relaxed, he slumped down and sat down. When the people who besieged them saw that they were actually Chi Changjai and Guyao, how could they not know that these two very weak monks were still involved with the evil spirit Chi Changjai? If I knew earlier, I wouldn't have to do such a deadly attack. With this thought in my heart, I cupped my hands and said, it turns out that he is a friend of fellow Daoist Chi, so let's go now, we offended him earlier. After saying that, she turned around and was about to leave, but Tao Yu called senior brother Chi from behind, and stopped them. We found a pill stove first, and we wanted to collect it for senior brother Gu, but they would grab it without saying a word. If we were gone, we didn't even take our lives away from it, and the man in the gray shirt took the pill furnace. When Tao Yu mentioned the pill stove, Chi Changjai shot, a sword Chi stopped in front of the feet that stepped out, and the feet would be cut off by the sword Chi one step further. After coming here, Chi Changjai searched very carefully, and always wanted to find places like the pill room, so as to find a better quality pill stove for Guyao, and now with such a cultivation base, Guyao's pill stove can't keep up. Now that he knows it, these people don't want to leave if they don't leave anything behind. Chi Changjai said in a cold voice, leave things, people can leave, otherwise they will all stay. That is, he took it directly from the corpse himself. The gray shirt cultivator hated a lot. They saw that Tao Yu and Du Lingde were both good looking, so they wanted to tease them. They didn't kill them sooner. Asking them to hand over the good pill furnace on the clams is no less than digging up their meat. They just saw that the pill furnace has exceeded the grade of the magic weapon. It is likely to be a spiritual tool. How many good things can't be exchanged with it? That's why I didn't even want to take it away from the two female monks. The gray shirt cultivator said unwillingly, Chi Changjai, don't bully people too much, offend so many people. Don't you think about what happens after you leave the secret realm? Bah, Tao Yu angrily scolded, we are not as good as you, so it's fine if you it away. Do we insist that you bully people too much? Now that the situation has turned around, it is said that senior brother Chi is bullying because of his strength. You guys, are you still shameless? The gray shirt cultivator was extremely embarrassed, and cursed in his heart. He didn't solve it sooner, but when he saw that Chi Changjai was about to draw his sword, he had to take out the pill furnace angrily and threw it towards Guyao and Chi Changjai. The sleeves were rolled up, and the cultivators ran away in despair, for fear that they would be left behind if they were one step later. Only then did Tao Yu feel at ease. It's this cauldron. It turns out that this place is supposed to be a pill room, the pills in it are all waste pills, and the spirit grass is useless, so there is only this pill stove left, and senior brother Gu takes it. It is most suitable to come to alchemy. She and Du Lingde got a lot of benefits from Guyao and Chi Changjai. This cauldron was really meant to be reserved for Guyao, but they were nearly poisoned, and it was Guyao and Chi Changjai who came to save them. Not to mention that this cauldron should belong to Guyao. Chi Changjai checked that he was not passive, and then handed it over to Guyao. Guyao saw that the elixir of this pill furnace was restrained, the surface texture was extremely complicated and mysterious, and the formation runes in the furnace body were also integrated, and the more he looked, the more he liked it. Thank you, Senior Sister Tao and Du Lingxi, for thinking about me. I like it very much. When you leave here, what kind of medicine do you want? Come and tell me. Tao Yu and Du Lingde looked at each other and smiled, and said in unison, okay, then we're welcome. The promise of a genius 8th rank alchemist is very valuable. Tao Yu and Du Lingde came here after the ban on Kankan Temple disappeared, and they failed to join the others. Because Du Lingde was injured, Guyao and the others took the two away temporarily. When Du Lingde recovers, Tao Yu thinks that they are a blessing in disguise, otherwise she is worried that after Chi Changjai leaves, that several monks went back to find them to settle accounts. After sweeping all the way, plus the news from other monks in Tianlin continent, knowing that Kankan Temple has a main hall, he rushed there. The more they went there, the more the crystal snake shrank into the cuff of the little fat man. Tao Yu and the others were puzzled, but Guyao and the others understood that the existence that made the crystal snake feared was in the main hall, so they raised their vigilance. There were several conflicts on the way, and it was no surprise that they were all disputes over the distribution of treasures. If they met the monks in Tianlin continent, if they were the one who was bullied, Guyao and the others would have rescued them. Of course they didn't participate. In the distribution and ownership of treasures, the cultivation world has always preyed on the weak and the strong, and there is not enough strength to protect it. That's why, after getting the pill furnace, Chi Changjai didn't take action to solve those few, just to teach them to recognize a reality. The fact that the monks in Tianlin continent are generally weak is the same fact. What Guyao and the others can do. What he did was just to rescue him and save a little more strength for Tianlin continent, and it was impossible to protect all the cultivators of Tianlin continent under his wings. If there is conflict, there will inevitably be bloodshed and death. No, there is a cultivator in front of him who uses the escape talisman to fly out of Kankan Temple, and many cultivators in the back are chasing after him. Treasure. In the blink of an eye, both parties flew past them, wondering if the cultivator in front would be able to escape and save his life. What the main hall of Kankan Hall looks like, no need to introduce others. When you come here, everyone will know that the magnificent palace in front of you is the main hall of Kankan Hall, because people standing outside the hall look so small. Just the three big characters hanging high are breathtaking, making people unable to look directly at them, and they may even cause backlash if they are not careful. Solemn, sacred, and inviolable, this is the momentum conveyed by Kankan Temple, but then, there is a kind of grand and tolerant idea hidden deep in it, which makes people feel awe-inspiring when they come here, and the crystal snake will put their heads all over the place. She tucked into her sleeves, not daring to look out. The material used in the main hall is even more shocking. Whether it is the ground paving or the material of the column, if you take it outside, it will cause a rush of monks. Just like the two coiled dragon pillars in front of the door, there is a monk. Lying on the top, he muttered in his mouth, "This is the broken gilt crystal that can refine spiritual tools, the whole pillar is." Seeing the appearance, it was obvious that he was about to vomit blood because of the extravagance and waste in front of him. Outside, a small piece the size of a baby's fist could be sold for a sky-high price, but here it was just a building material, but when he wanted to smash the gilded one. At that time, the restraint on the pillar was activated, and the man was bounced out. This time he really vomited blood, and he couldn't take it away if he could see it and touch it, causing him to beat his chest with pain. Tianfirong walked past him and snickered, "This guy must be a craftsman." Someone on the side smiled and said, "Someone has tried it before, but he still refuses to believe it." Some people wanted to dig floor tiles before, but you can see that the floor tiles are still in good condition, and not one is missing. Guyao shook his head with a smirk. Maybe these rare materials were not available everywhere, but they were easy to obtain, so they were used in this way. However, these non-renewable resources will always be used less and less. A few people stepped into the main hall together, and heard the sound of fighting in the side hall. When they got closer, they saw that there were several masks inside. The masks contained the same items, some were jade slips, and some were magic weapons. Needless to say, at least it is a spiritual weapon level, and there are medicinal pills. Seeing the aura emanating from the medicinal pills, it is enough to show that the medicinal pills have not expired. That's a Ningying pill, Su Chen's voice resounded in Gu Yao's mind again. Gu Yao stared at it, surprised. He saw that Qi Changjai's eyes also lingered on the pill, and asked in a low voice, "Brother Ye, have you recognized that pill too?" Qi Changjai nodded, "That's the Ningying pill, the pill that assists in condensing nascent soul." Several monks present gasped when they heard it, and the two monks who were fighting for this medicine pill. They belonged to the same sect, that is, Changxianmen. Needless to say, they were not fighting for this medicine pill for themselves, but brought it back to Changxianmen. Does that mean that the Ningying pill of Changxianmen is not readily available? Tao Yu and Du Lingde, who were following behind, also widened their eyes. For them, Jindan cultivator was unattainable. Now, seeing the medicinal pills to help the baby, it was like listening to a scripture from heaven. Yingdan has grown like this. Seeing that the cultivators in Tianlin continent looked like they didn't know anything, the cultivators from Changxianmen showed disdain, but some people looked at Qi Changjai in surprise. They didn't expect that he and Gu Yao knew this kind of medicine pill before, maybe they had seen it before. Or have you seen related introductions? Although the treasures here are not of the same level as those outside, not even Qi Changjai is tempted, let alone Tao Yu and the others. They are not sure if they can do it even with Dan, and they still hope to condense nascent soul? Even if this Ningying pill falls into their hands and takes it out, no one can use it. Needless to say, other treasures are of similar grade, so it is enough to pass the eye addiction. Gu Yao glanced at Qi Changjai, and then the two of them walked towards the other side hall together, letting the Changxianmen cultivators fight for it themselves. The side hall is empty. The few monks who just came in turned around and went out. If you have time, you might as well go to other places to see if there are good things to harvest, and you don't need to waste time here. Gu Yao and several people also split up and looked here, while Qi Changjai followed Gu Yao. Gu Yao's eyes were attracted by a painting on the wall. It was an extremely ordinary landscape picture, but he didn't know why, but he felt that there was something hidden under the landscape, and the more he looked at it, the more he couldn't figure it out, even involuntarily. Reach out to touch. Just when his hand touched the painting, a vortex suddenly appeared in the painting, dragging his arm into it. Xiaoao, Qi Changjai quickly grabbed him. Gu Yao, Tian Firong and Little Fatty also rushed over. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 158. The accident happened too suddenly, from the landscape painting changing into a vortex, to dragging the four people in. It was just a moment of lightning and flint, and when outsiders discovered the anomaly here and rushed over at the fastest speed, they only saw it. Even the painting entered the vortex, and then the vortex disappeared in front of them. It makes people suspect that everything that happened before is their hallucination. Who was here just now? What exactly happened? What mechanism was triggered? Where did those people go? Even the two sides who had just competed for the Ningying pill also rushed in, and they searched and groped around, not letting go of every corner, but there was no abnormal situation again. Come out, let the other monks regret, especially the few people who bumped into the face. This side hall is clearly the first to come, but the opportunity passed them by. They absolutely believe that this is the next big opportunity. Tao Yu and Du Lingde were a step late and couldn't react to the accident at all. When the other monks rushed over, The two immediately hid behind the crowd and found other students of Tianfu Academy. How could the people from Tianfu College squeeze into the front to check what happened? After listening to the discussion of the people in front of them, they realized that it was Gu Yao and the others who caused it, and couldn't help worrying. Senior brother Qi, will they be okay? Probably not. Senior brother Qi and the others did not want to participate in the competition for these treasures outside, so they just walked around at will. I didn't expect it. Everyone knows everything. The more you pursue deliberately, the more you won't get it, and the more you don't care, you will encounter big opportunities. At this time, those guys in Changxianmen don't know how to feel injustice. They are too greedy. There are so many treasures outside that are not enough for them to compete for. Senior brother Qi, they are not so easy to mess with, they must be fine. A group of people searched the side hall for several times but couldn't find it. Finally, they had to send someone to take care of the side hall. No one was allowed to enter or leave. The treasures in the side hall, including the Ningying pill, can get a lot of rewards in the door as long as they are brought back, which is very beneficial. After the familiar dizziness of Gu Yao and the others, they found themselves in a dark room, but after they entered, the dark room was lit up, and when they saw the whole environment, it was a well-informed person like Qi Changjai. Cannot help secretly gasping. What place is this? Su Chen asked in the space. Gu Yao, this kid can really run around, can he really return to the original world one day on his own? Su Chen couldn't help but express his doubts. In the middle of the dark room is a huge formation. It can be seen that it is still running. The formation is surrounded by thick coiled dragon pillars. The material is no worse than the two pillars at the entrance of the main hall. On the walls around the dark room, it's a relief sculpture. The relief on the wall is so strange, Tian Firong said, pointing to the wall behind him. Qi Changjai said cautiously, let's first look at the content of the reliefs. At present, it seems that there is no way out. Maybe those reliefs have other intentions. All right, Gu Yao nodded. The four of them chose a relief sculpture respectively. They originally wanted to be vigilant about the situation around them, lest things change, but when they turned their attention to the relief sculpture, the scene of Gu Yao's mind being attracted by the landscape painting reappeared. No, this time it was more for seriousness, the whole person seems to be dragged into the magnificent pictures. Gu Yao doesn't know why, he can't control his actions, he passively looks at each picture. There are countless monks living in the land, and countless monsters, exotic flowers and plants growing everywhere, a tree that is not valued by people. Weeds, in his opinion, are also a valuable spiritual grass, but they are not noticed by the monks living here, and they are likely to be trampled by someone's foot. Looking at it, he gradually realized that these monks whose appearance is not much different from humans should not be the real human race, but the hundreds of races in the ancient times. Almost every monk was born with his own innate magical powers. They are powerful. Wupi is the ruler of this land. The real human beings are very insignificant here. They live in the cracks, and some are also sheltered by some races. 100 clans are naturally powerful. Although some have a peaceful temperament, some are aggressive in nature. A drastic change in the world has involved all the hundreds of clans in the endless battle, and the human race is forced to stand in line. The battle between the 100 clans is getting more and more fierce, with countless casualties, and there is no possibility of a truce. It can only be ended until death. With the death of the powerful people of the 100 clans, the human race with strong reproductive power has gradually through continuous learning. When they became stronger, they went from being weak to being on an equal footing with the 100 races, and the other grew until the 100 races could no longer suppress the prosperity of the human race. Turned into a part of the bloodline of the human race. Gu Yao saw that some powerhouses received the battle report and left their palace in a hurry, thinking that they would be back soon, but did not expect to be involved in that fierce battle and never come back. The world seems to have left their lamentations. The mountains and rivers shattered, and the great cultivation land of abundant water became shattered. At the end of the picture, Guyao seemed to hear a heavy sigh, which was pounding heavily in the heart of people. When Guyao exited from the picture, he felt that the heaviness and depression were choked in his throat, making him unable to breathe. At this time, a hand was placed on his back, and the warm spiritual power entered his body. The depression and suffocation dissipated immediately, and Guyao returned to normal. Brother Ye, have you seen it too? The rise and fall of the ancient tribes. Is this what the murals here want to express? Chi Changjai nodded, and there was a look of sigh in his eyes. I also saw that such a powerful 100 clan has disappeared into the heaven and earth like this, but it was the human race that was originally attached to the 100 clan and became the ruler of this world. The blood of the 100 races still needs to pass through the human race to survive. The so-called remnants of the ancients, in the final analysis, are still human races that are integrated into the blood of the 100 clan, not the pure ancient 100 clan, and it can be seen that the strength and talent and supernatural power are much inferior to those of the ancient 100 clan, and the 100 clan has become history after all. It can be said that the current cultivation world of the human race was developed on the basis of the 100 races. After seeing that picture, Chi Changjai felt that every method of cultivation had the shadow of the magical powers of the 100 races, and the human race did not. The innate supernatural powers of the 100 clan can, however, grow up step by step through learning and cultivation, and acquire the innate supernatural powers of the 100 clan. Probably, this is the reason why the human race has become the master of the world. 100 races are naturally too powerful, which makes them not cherish everything they have. The unbridled fighting and destruction caused the world to be shattered, but the human race continued to be careful. Grow. However, will the ending of the 100 races one day become the future of the human race? Tianfirong and Little Fatty exited a bit late, and their brains were aching, and it took a while for them to recover. Tianfirong wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said, "So this Kankan Palace and Kankan Secret Realm are handed down from ancient times. What do you mean by telling us to watch those pictures?" The little fat man said, "Tian-er brother, you are the bloodline left over from the ancient 100 tribes, could it be?" Tianfirong shook his head. "It was Guyao who first lifted the teleportation restriction, and we were sent here together." What did the two think of? They turned to look at Guyao together. Could it be that Guyao also has a special physique, with the blood left by the ancient 100 tribes flowing on his body? Otherwise, why is it so coincidental? Guyao raised his head to look at Chi Changjai. Chi Changjai's eyes were open, some were just trusting. Guyao scratched his head and said, "Yes, I also have a special bloodline, but it's not very good to wake up completely." "What is it?" Tianfirong and the little fat man asked curiously. Even Chi Changjai cast an interested look, and Su Chen even shouted, "Why don't I know? What secrets are hidden in your kid? Is it the pill pavilion? Is it because of your special physique that it fell on you?" Su Chen was upset. Why did the benefits belong to this kid? And he was wrong, but he didn't notice it at all. Guyao didn't feel the need to hide it, but he also blocked Senior Su's voice in the space first. It was too disturbing. "It was my uncle who told me that when he left, he made arrangements, and my uncle said that this is a kind of spirit clan, called Tianling clan. In fact, I don't really know what this heavenly clan is. It seems that there is something special about the soul." In fact, Guyao has some doubts. Is his uncle mistaken? His soul is different from that of ordinary monks, but the difference is that he thought he brought it from the interstellar world, not the body itself. Yes, but without seeing the uncle himself, he has no way of knowing what happened. Heavenly spirit race? It sounds amazing. Tianfirong touched his chin and said, "He can now be sure that he belongs to a branch of the fire spirit race, and of course he can't be compared with those of the real fire spirit race. It is the cultivation technique he got, which should have been summed up by acquired research on the basis of the human race who inherited this bloodline on the basis of the supernatural powers of the fire spirit race. To be honest, he felt that he was still a human race. Guyao shrugged, I don't think it's great, maybe it's because I have relatively few bloodlines belonging to this race. Of course, he can still feel the gradual awakening of the bloodline, the induction of spiritual energy and the speed of cultivation, and it is not only the reason why he has improved the purity of the spiritual root, but also because of various factors mixed together. Can tell which one it is. Tianlingzhu. I seem to have heard of it. Su Chen's voice suddenly sounded in the space. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 159. Hearing Senior Su Chen's voice, Guyao curiously asked in the sea of consciousness what Senior had heard of. Su Chen knocked on his forehead and tried to recall. Tianlingzhu, oh right, I remembered it. It seems that there is an underground ancient city. It is said that it came from the hands of Tianlingzhu. That ancient city is integrated, no matter how good it is refining. The master can't recreate it, and I don't know how long it has been circulating, but it can still mobilize the power of the whole city to launch an attack, and the attack power is very powerful. Ah, it feels like a battle fortress, and the heavenly spirit race is an artifact refiner, but he has no hobby or good at artifact refining. Stupid. Didn't you say that there is something special about the soul? Whether it is an artifact refiner, an alchemist, or a talisman maker, they are slightly better than ordinary monks in the control of consciousness and spiritual power. Has a natural advantage, the more master the more extraordinary, that is to say, the Tianling family can be an excellent alchemist, an extraordinary alchemist, or an excellent talisman. Of course, this is not representing the human race cultivator can't do it, and there are also human race monks who are born with powerful souls, otherwise it is impossible for the human race to replace the 100 races as the master in this world. Su Chen watched the pictures Guyao saw together, and I have to say that they were very shocked. Having said that, Guyao remembered a few pictures, one of which was a powerful cultivator volleying out a rune, and each rune could exert an overwhelming power. Could it be that this cultivator is the heavenly spirit race? That person is indeed very powerful, and Guyao feels his insignificance. Xiaoao, what are you thinking? Qi Changjai's voice called Guyao back to God. Looking at Qi Changjai's clear eyes, Guyao shook his head and said, the heavenly spirit race is better than the soul, maybe they are good at refining alchemy and making talismans. I like alchemy, said maybe it was influenced by this bloodline. Qi Changjai patted Guyao's head, but Tian Firong and the little fat man were convinced of this, and nodded repeatedly and said that it must be the case, otherwise there is no alchemist with such outstanding talent as Guyao. In this underground space, apart from the reliefs on the walls, there is only the formation in the middle. After knowing the details of the reliefs, the four people, including the two beasts who probed their brains, all focused their attention on the formation in the middle. Guyao hesitated and wondered, what will be in the middle? Will it support the entire Kankan Palace and Kankan Secret Realm? Is this formation? Qi Changjai approached those coiled dragon pillars to watch. Guyao pulled him. Qi Changjai waved his hand and said, Xiaoao, you didn't see that there are other patterns on this coiled dragon pillar besides the coiled dragon? I didn't think much about it, but after seeing the reliefs, I thought, could the corresponding races on this dragon column be all races? Really? Tian Firong said in surprise, I'll look for it. The little fat man helped him find together. There were a total of 108 coiled dragon pillars. The formation in the middle of the guard looked very solemn and solemn. It didn't take long for the two of them to find a sculpture with a body surrounded by fire like a fire god. Tian Firong couldn't help but be fascinated by the pillar, and the little fat man helped him guard it. Guyao also looked around and found nothing. It seemed that the Tianling family had no special appearance and could not be identified. At this moment, an eye floated in the formation, and Guyao was immediately taken in. Qi Changjai watched helplessly. He slipped out of his hands, his strength so insignificant compared to that strength. And surrounded by the formation, he couldn't break through the blockade of the coiling dragon pillar and break in. Qi Changjai was anxious, but thought that this should be the place where the ancient hundreds of clans stayed, and it was impossible to bring danger to the descendants of the hundreds of clans, telling himself that Guyao would be fine, but his eyes were still tight. Stare at the center of the formation. Guyao, who was taken into the formation, was suspended in mid-air, with an eye hanging above it. The eye gradually showed golden light, and the golden light covered it, enveloping Guyao's entire body. Guyao didn't know what was going on at all, he only felt that he was bathed in the golden ocean, as if he had returned to his mother's body and was warm, but there was an eye in the golden ocean looking down at him. I don't know how long it took, the light gradually dimmed, the eye closed weakly, and fell like a star. Guyao didn't have time to call, he felt that the star hit his face. When the center of his eyebrows hurt, Xingzi seemed to be in between his eyebrows. Guyao subconsciously reached out to touch it, but there was nothing there. The previous pain seemed to be his hallucination. At this moment, he heard Qi Changjai's call. Guyao wanted to lean over, but as soon as this thought moved, he escaped from the formation and came out of the formation. Qi Changjai looked at the person who was still in the formation and now suddenly appeared beside him, grabbed it and checked it carefully, and asked worriedly, "What happened just now? Did you feel anything unusual?" Guyao shook his head, "What happened to me just now?" Qi Changjai told the scene just now, and he saw Guyao bathed in golden light. When the light became more and more bright, he couldn't even see Guyao's figure. When the light disappeared, he saw Guyao in a daze. The ground stood there, and then hurriedly shouted. "Is that so?" Guyao touched his eyebrows suspiciously again, "Didn't Brother Ye see it? What about Senior Su?" He hurriedly asked Su Chen in the Sea of Knowledge. Su Chen told him regretfully, "I was blocked just now, and I can't regain my perception of the outside world until you leave that formation." Guyao suppressed the confusion in his heart and didn't want Qi Changjai to be inexplicably worried about him, so he raised his head and smiled and said, "I only saw one eye, and that eye seems to be kind, maybe that eye represents the heavenly spirit clan. Brother Ye, don't worry, I feel like my body is a little different." "Is it different to ask late long night? Where is it different?" Su Chen's voice interjected, "It should be the further awakening of the bloodline of the heavenly spirit race. Boy, I just found out that the space of your sea of consciousness has expanded, and some changes have taken place." Qi Changjai also heard this voice. Guyao checked it himself, and sure enough, the space of the sea of knowledge has become wider. Not only that, the space is also filled with golden mist. Is this the golden light that enveloped him before? Absorbed for your own sea of consciousness space? He felt for a moment that the golden mist was not harmful to him, but only beneficial. He felt that after the mist was completely fused, his soul would change. He told Qi Changjai how he felt, and Qi Changjai suppressed the worries in his heart and told himself that everything was fine now, but he was always on guard in his heart. Are these ancient tribes unwilling to withdraw from this continent? Will you use Guyao for what? In addition, Guyao's cultivation has also crossed the threshold of the initial stage of foundation building and entered the middle stage of foundation building. On the other side, Tian Furong burst into a cyan flame with a bang, and the whole person became a burning man. The cassock he was wearing was instantly burned, and the little fat man almost screamed, but found that Tian Furong's hair was cut off except for his clothes. None were damaged. And isn't this cyan flame the cyan flame that Tian Furong possesses? Maybe it's because his physique is fully stimulated now. After thinking about it, he feels a little bit more envious. Tian Furong's strength must rise faster than him. Chi Changjai raised his eyebrows, and then silently stood in front of Guyao, preventing him from seeing Tianfirong's naked body wrapped in green flames. Guyao pushed it with his hand, but he didn't. He wanted to probe out, but was pushed back by Chi Changjai, so he had to say, "Brother, yeah, is Brother Tian alright?" "It's okay, it's just that the physique is stimulated, it depends on how he takes it back," Chi Changjai faintly say. The blue flame raged for a while before it gradually subsided. Tianfirong, who was surrounded by flames, also kept his eyes closed. When the flames completely disappeared into his body, he opened his eyes. The little fat man couldn't bear to look at that. "Quickly remind him, put your clothes on." "What's wrong with me?" Looking down, Tianfirong suddenly screamed, and quickly took out his clothes from the storage bag and wrapped himself up. "It was so indecent just now, where are my original clothes?" The little fat man said angrily, it's all burnt out, you don't know what happened to you just now." "Ah, I don't know, I just knew that I was in a sea of fire, and the flame was blue, it feels very kind, and I don't know how long I stayed before I suddenly woke up," Tianfirong said while checking his condition. The little fat man was even more angry. "You clearly became a fireman just now, you are indeed in the sea of fire, so your clothes are burned, eh? You. The little fat man was dumbfounded and pointed at Tianfirong not speaking. At this time, Guyao was finally able to come out from behind Chi Changjai. With a glance, he finally knew what the little fat man was trying to express. "Tian, our brother is now building the foundation. It's too easy, right? It's easier than building a foundation in Chi Changjai." Tianfirong also found that in his own situation, he was so happy that he danced, and he actually built a foundation. He thought that he would have to wait until he left the secret realm and returned to the academy to cultivate for a while, and he could build the foundation with the help of the foundation establishment Dan, but he didn't expect that he had a dream, and the foundation was established when he woke up. The little fat man grinds his teeth, it's so hateful. Now he is the only one who has not built the foundation and has become a drag. The crystal snake climbed to his shoulder, rubbed its little head against its master, comforting him silently. The little fat man calmed down a little. Anyway, he has Liulai, even Tianfirong can't even think of getting a good deal in his hands, or let Liulai go to him. At this moment, another vortex appeared above, swallowing the four people in. The light in this underground space went out, and darkness returned, and there seemed to be another sigh in the darkness. After a while of top-heavy, the four found themselves back in the side hall. The cultivator who was guarding here saw the four people who suddenly appeared, and after a moment of stun someone ran out immediately, and then several cultivators rushed in, and one of them asked, "Where did you go just now? And what about that painting?" Tianfirong said angrily, "Why do you want to tell you where you went? What are you painting or not painting, what are you doing here? You want to rob? Come on. He has just built the foundation and is expanding." Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 160. Tianfirong's attitude of either do it or get out of the way without forcing it, made the surrounding cultivators extremely motivated, but there was a long night, and they were a little hesitant about doing it, and the situation seemed to be deadlocked. "Chi Changjai, we just need to know where you went and the whereabouts of that painting," someone shouted while hiding behind the others. Although the others didn't agree, they also looked in agreement. Chi Changjai stepped forward and glanced at them coldly, "Either get out of the way, or, I'll come in person." He personally made a way out. "You." Someone wanted to say, "Chi Changjai, don't be too arrogant and deceive people," but the cultivator next to him immediately covered his mouth and pulled him down. The person who shouted before obviously wanted to use other cultivators to give Chi Changjai a treat. As for the pressure, if Chi Changjai compromised, it would be good to say, but now Chi Changjai is obviously not so good at talking, and if he goes on hard, he really wants to make a sword. The person who was stared at by Chi Changjai subconsciously gave way to the side, and when he realized what he had done, he was even more embarrassed to stay and simply turned around and left. Tian Furong followed Chi Changjai and made a grimace in the direction he shouted before, "The face is so big, why don't you take out all the benefits for everyone to share?" This is of course reasonable, but no one echoed Tian Furong, because everyone had the same idea, especially when someone noticed the changes in Guyao and Tian Furong's cultivation, and knew that they had gained great benefits in other places, and they were jealous. Very, but some people were already frightened. After walking out of the side hall, he saw a group of people gathered behind him. Many of them were very angry. Guyao smiled and raised his voice and said, "We really don't know the whereabouts of the painting. I haven't seen the shadow of that picture again. Instead of asking us about the whereabouts of the painting, you might as well go to other places to look for it, maybe it appears in other places in the palace. Of course, if you don't believe me, just treat me as a nonsense." After Guyao finished speaking, he turned around and walked to Chi Changjai's side, walking out side by side with him. After they left, there was a lot of discussion in the crowd, and some people expressed doubts, but then some people found that there were many people in the crowd, and they were all walking out. Obviously, they heard Guyao's words and went to other places to search for the whereabouts of the paintings. Those people angrily, he stomped his feet and quickly followed, for fear that one step later, he would miss the chance again. Seeing those people being coaxed away by Guyao's words, Tian Furong gave Guyao a thumbs up. Can these people really find that painting? In fact, Guyao didn't lie to those people. When they were caught in the whirlpool, they really didn't see the painting again, so Guyao said that it is not impossible for the painting to appear in other places. Chi Changjai glanced at Guyao and Tian Furong, and said, "I suspect that only the bereaved with special bloodline. You will only react when you encounter that painting, and only when you go in will you get the benefits. He and Little Fatty are absolutely pure human races. Apart from watching the scene in the relief, there is nothing to gain. Of course, he does not feel regret. He has already chosen the path he wants to take, which is Jiangziu. The human race is not the most talented cultivator in this world, but the potential and moldability of human beings are the strongest. From humble beginnings, they have been able to reach the peak." Guyao scratched his chin, "It seems so. Little Fatty has no regrets after hearing it, then let's go. Anyway, our current harvest is not bad, why don't we find a place to make good use of the remaining time to retreat and practice?" Tian Furong immediately agreed, "Then do it like this. There is a place for practice and retreat in this palace, and we will find such a place to settle down temporarily." Chi Changjai and Guyao did not object, so they walked in the opposite direction to the others. Before that, Guyao found Tao Yu and Du Lingde, and explained their decision. Tao Yu let them just go about their business. Seeing how many people from Guyao had left, Tao Yu wiped the sweat from her forehead. "It was really dangerous just now, I thought those people had to force senior brother Chi and the others to give an answer." Du Lingde pouted and said, "Those guys are really unreasonable. This is the chance for senior brother Chi and the others. So many people have seen the painting before, but no one succeeded. Not to mention other people." The two of them also glanced at them, and then moved away without a pause. They really ignored the painting as something irrelevant. It's good to be envious, but jealous is not right. There were also monks who paid attention to the whereabouts of Guyao and his party, and found that the four of them had really found a palace to cultivate with all their heart, so they left with regret. How could it be possible to spend all their time on them, or to search more with the remaining time? Some places. In fact, if you don't want to be so impetuous, it's worth staying here everywhere. Guyao and the others found the place where the monks used to retreat and practice, and they found that there was a special large-scale gathering array there, which was much more subtle than the one arranged by Chi Chang-jai. Others have retreated and practiced, and at this juncture, they can't do meditation and practice blindly, so he went to study these ancient formations. He felt that as long as he understood a little bit, he could improve his formation level to a level. After Guyao consolidated his cultivation in the middle stage of foundation building, he put up a sign outside the palace, took the order for alchemy, marked his upper limit, and indicated that the range of remuneration he received was also very wide, except for spirits. Outside of the grass spirit stone, all the books and jade slips harvested in the secret realm are also within the scope of his collection. Guyao feels that this is more than the harvest he can get from running around. After Tianfirong has consolidated his cultivation, he will take over these trivial tasks. The only one who has been in retreat is the little fat man. The cat cub and the crystal snake no longer fight back and forth. Occasionally, the two little guys will disappear for a while, and there are crystals. Snakes lead the way. Guyao doesn't worry about them running around. Anyway, after a few times down, it is obvious that the breath of these two little guys has risen a bit, so they are more allowed to go. Some people have also learned from Guyao's practice when they see it. Instead of taking risks and not knowing when they will lose their lives, it is better to take advantage of the conditions here to cultivate for a while. As long as they are not greedy, they will gain a lot after coming in. Some things are not life to fight to get. For example, the Ningying pill in the main hall, the two sides of the battle finally decided the winner, so the winning party broke the ban to get the pills inside, and found that the ban was stronger than other places, and it took a lot of effort. It was only after they were removed that they were taken out. As a result, the losing side took away the Ningying pill when they were exhausted. Except for the monks who followed, no one else knew what was going on between the two sides. The better the thing, the stronger the ban, and even when it is broken, you have to be careful to cause the ban to rebound. So as far as Guyao got it from the monk who came to ask for pills, there are still several treasures in the main hall that do not belong. Someone came over to win over Chi Chang-jai. Even if the monk of Changxianmen is not reconciled, he has to admit that the strongest person in the secret realm is Chi Chang-jai, so he wants to join him, and promises to pay him how much he will pay after the ban is lifted. He even moved out the conditions for introducing him to Changxianmen, but they were all rejected by Chi Chang-jai and were unwilling to participate in these battles. However, there were a few alchemists from Qian Valley who knew that Guyao was here, so they came to defect, so Guyao would also communicate with them while alchemy, so the team that defected became bigger and bigger. Some people came for his alchemy, and some people came because the closer the time to the closure of the secret realm, the more intense the conflict in the secret realm, and some monks took advantage of this time to rob other people's achievements and make a fortune, so as not to die. I don't understand why I made wedding clothes for others, so I took the initiative to move to the vicinity of the palace where Chi Chang-jai and the others were. As for the monks in Tianlin continent, Chi Chang-jai and Guyao are still willing to help out. Of course, they are on their own territory, and they are beyond their reach. Chi Chang-jai was still fascinated by the study of ancient formations. Zhang Yan and Lu Qiuzheng walked in more and more. After a while, Chi Chang-jai looked up and saw that although they were a little embarrassed, they were in good condition, so they nodded to them. "You are here too?" "Yeah, I know you guys are good here, so I'll stay here for a while, and the secret realm will be closed in 10 days no matter where people are, they will be thrown out of the secret realm immediately. It's getting more dangerous outside." Just as they were talking, Lu Huajing came again. Of course Tianfirong let it in, unlike Zhang Yan and the others who could come in directly by themselves. Bringing people in, Tianfirong told Lu Qiuzheng secretly, "This guy has been here more than once, and every time he wants to draw Brother Qi to their Changxian gate, it's really annoying. Brother Qi obviously refuses and doesn't give up, right? They still want Ragayao to go together." He probably knew that Chi Chang-jai attached great importance to Guyao and would not leave him alone. In addition, Gu Yao's talent in alchemy was also recognized by these Changxianmen cultivators, even if he didn't express it in his mouth. That's why Lu Huajing made this decision. Lu Hung folded his arms and sneered, "Hey, it's whimsical, is senior brother Qi so easily shaken?" Having said that, he and Zhang Yan were still staring nervously at Qi Changjai and Lu Huajing, for fear that Qi Changjai would really agree, but it would be hard to stop him, otherwise he would be the one blocking Qi Changjai's pursuit of the Great Dao, so this matter only Qi Changjai and Gu Yao can decide. "You don't need to persuade Lu, my decision will not change." Before Lu Huajing could speak, Qi Changjai gave his answer. Lu Huajing sat in front of Qi Changjai and looked at him puzzled. Why? Why did you reject such a great opportunity? You know that if you rejected this opportunity, it is very likely that you will never find the possibility of leaving this Tianlin continent. Already. He was really puzzled, and he was really looking for an answer. Could someone refuse the way to climb up? He would never make such a choice as Qi Changjai. He was confused, so he came to look for Qi Changjai again.